All right, Canada, it's everyone's favorite time of year. It's when the carbon tax goes up. But the best part about the carbon tax increase is by far and away the gaslighting, where you are told that no, you're actually making money off this tax. Oh, everyone's getting we're gonna be millionaires. You get $122 a month every 3 months. It's like $500 a year. We're basically millionaires. No, billionaires. Everyone's going to become a billionaire because we get $500 from the government. Maybe we'll get $600. That would give us trillions of dollars. I don't know. I went to school at Harvard University, so I don't really know much. This brings us to the why is this so stupid? How are people so stupid? Now, I'm going to make a definition difference between stupid and dumb. Dumb is a physical impediment. That's low IQ. And this isn't a problem with dumb people. Dumb people are not the problem here. Stupid people are. Stupidity is the ability to reason yourself into crazy, crazy thoughts like, hey, I'm making money off a tax. That's a stupid person thing, right? And the fact that we have many economists signing on letters saying, oh, the carbon tax is a great idea. This is stupidity, right? People don't go to Harvard and get dumber. Harvard turns people into stupid. They make them stupider because they think race communism will save the world. All right. The carbon tax affects everyone except for a few fringe people. There are some people who are actually making money off the carbon tax. These would be people who do one, don't buy any things, because where the carbon tax rebate happens is on gas, right? So what the carbon tax rebate figures out is, all right, how much does this average person, depending on the family, whatever, spend on gas? And then you get a rebate based on like the increase you're supposed to pay at the pumps, right? Because we're making gas more expensive. So what you're putting in your car, you get a rebate on that. And let's say hypothetically the PBO is saying, all right, if you spend the average of like $400 more on gas by this, you're getting 500. You're technically making money there, but you're not making money because now the liberals cut out everything to the butt. And then pretended that the PBO is backing them up, but it's not because they're pointing out economics. When you increase the price of fuel, you increase the price of everything. So if you don't buy any things, then this doesn't affect you. But most things require, or everything requires energy to make. Think of a wooden chair, right? A wooden chair, right? You have the energy cost of, right, logging. You got to knock down the wood, right? Then you got to transport that wood from the forest to a processing plant. You then process it. Then you take that processed wood, you transport it again, how? On a truck with gas to a manufacturing thing. It's then cut and shaped. And then at some point it's assembled somewhere else, right? You put the nuts and bolts in, you make a chair, and then you transport it again to market, right? All those different transportation things and energy things. All the price of doing that has now increased. So the price of the chair has now gone up. The carbon tax does not take into account the price of the chair. So if you don't buy any things, if you just don't buy things, crushing it. You're getting $500 a year. You're basically, again, a billionaire. 500 plus 500, a billion, right? I can do math. Put me in the Liberal Party. You then have people don't buy things. But another thing is food prices, right? Because how do you grow food, right? You need combines and all these machines. They require what? Gas and energy and diesel and all that. And then again, they're created. And then even then, food has to be transported to market. How do you transport it? With energy, right? So the cost of food goes up. So if you don't buy things and you don't eat food, right? So if you literally inject enough chlorophyll into your veins that you can go outside, take your shirt off, stand in the sun, and do photosynthesis, and that's how you convert glucose to energy, you're crushing it. Again, you're killing it. This tax is free. You are making money. You're the person making money. So again, if you don't buy any things and you don't eat any food or buy any food, you are crushing it. You're getting $500 a year. You're basically a billionaire. You're the next Galen Weston. You're doing great. Everyone else, so these are people who live in reality, buy things, and eat food. They are getting crushed by the carbon tax. And we have an even bigger problem again with the gaslighting, where we have the economist signing a letter saying, "Oh, wow, we're all making money." And if you look at this letter the economist signed, it's pure nonsense. But the way we have this sort of expert economy, and the experts are getting out of control, is they've created a religion around climate change. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know, or I'm scaring some people who are newly leaving the Conservative Party because maybe they're Jewish or Hindu or East Asian, and the Liberals are just being like, yeah, you can kill these people, we don't care. And you're like, oh, what's going on? The way we are sort of talking about climate is the economists, we sort of set this sort of religious tenet, right? That salvation is the primary goal, and this is reducing climate change. Now, there's no hard metric on this or climate. It's just climate's in the ether, there's CO2, there's something. And to reduce the climate change, which is a religious tenet, because there's no functional definition, it's a religious definition, we must need a climate plan, right? And then we compare all these different crazy climate plans, and then we say which ones are the best based off of our general feelings. And the most insane part of this is they're saying, oh, the carbon tax, that you have a bunch of economists saying, oh, the carbon tax does not create inflation. And this is malicious and malpractice. And this is where the experts need to be stopped, because they don't understand even what they're talking about, or they do understand, but they're giving in for, again, religious reasons, right? They're priests, and they're being told that denying reality is the only path to salvation. Inflation. Okay. You increase the carbon tax, that's the number one driver, way to drive inflation. Now, if you read the letter, they're blaming it all Russia, Ukraine. That's what's causing inflation, is Russia and Ukraine, the only thing. I'm not saying this war doesn't increase prices, it does, but nowhere near the level of COVID and climate policies. This would be third, we could say, war. The way inflation is calculated, I've done this before, is on the CPI. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, is a metric designed that when inflation is running out of control, it's designed to create the illusion that inflation is going down. That's what the CPI is actually designed to do, because if inflation hits certain levels, there are congressional triggers that have to happen in the US. So they created a metric that would never, ever trigger, because it goes down as inflation goes up. And this is our primary way to measure inflation. How do you do this? Okay. The CPI measures just raw goods, but it's the key flaw in the CPI is it does not account for substitutions or reductions. So the consumer price index is like how the average someone spends in a certain thing. So like it can kind of measure inflation if things like, car mechanics, that it can kind of be accurate there, but that's so small in the economy. The big one is grocery stores and food, right? This is the number one way the CPI lies to you. So let's say, I'm just going to use some raw numbers. Make it like your budget is $100 per week to feed your family, and you can, just to make this simple, you can get $100 worth of steak or AAA beef, whatever it is, and this provides X level of protein. Let's say 100 protein units that I've just created, and you can get that for $100 worth of steak per week. That's within your budget. You do that. Okay. Inflation hits, 10%. All right. So the price of steak has gone up 10%. You cannot afford $110 per week, but you can afford, if you push it, $105 a week. So in order to get 100 units of protein to feed your family and keep them alive, like that baseline, you would then substitute steak for chicken, and you can spend $105. You could get the same, you get to 100 protein units through chicken. You spend $105. So what the CPI now says is inflation's at 5%, but it's actually at 10%. The price of everything has gone up 10%, but you're spending 5% more on your budget. So CPI says inflation is at 5%, even though prices are going up at 10%. Inflation continues to go on. Things go up another 10%. Okay, you now can't afford this level of chicken. So people do another thing, is they either say, all right, we're actually going to go below the 100 threshold. So either I will go to 95 protein units, or I'll make another substitution to soy-based, or, I'll go to soybeans and do that. So you have a thing where, so you can say, all right, now I can stretch my budget maybe to $107. So you're spending more, but inflation's now going down because it's not inflated as much as you spent, right? You spent an extra 5% that time. This time you're spending an extra around 2%, let's say, just under, right? You're spending extra 2%. Oh, inflation's gone down from 5% to 2%, but the price of everything again went up by 10%, causing you to make these concessions. Now, inflation comes down when things get so bad. Things get so bad in the economy because prices go up so much that eventually, the single mother, or the parents say, we're going to start skipping meals so our kids don't have to skip meals. So instead of making substitutions for different proteins, you go, okay, we're just going to spend the $105 we can, but we're now going to use that to buy 90 units of protein when we need 100. We're just going to, as the adults, eat less food, consume less energy, starve a bit, but keep our kids alive. These are the decisions people make. And when people start to make these tough decisions, these really bad economic decisions, right? People are spending less money and inflation is solved. Even though the price of everything's going up, that's real inflation. The CPI then says, look, we fixed inflation because people are now spending $100 again at the grocery store. Congratulations, Justin Trudeau. And again, everything at the grocery store is transported there. So when you increase the cost of fuel, you take everything at Loblaws. You're going to see on April 1st, you're going to see, and Jagmeet's going to have a conniption, Galen Weston, blah, blah. No, the price of everything is going to go up. It's going to hurt the people struggling the most. They're going to make some very tough decisions for their families. And sorry about this, Trudeau's fault. And then they're going to be spending less money at the grocery store. You, if you're, upper middle class or middle class and you can still afford this, you're going to be paying a lot more money. But you're going to be gaslit by the government saying, look, we've actually solved inflation because we've destroyed poor people. And then ironically, we're going to claim that we're actually uplifting these poor people because they're making money off the carbon tax. This is how the experts lie to you. This is weaponized stupidity. And it's the number one thing driving Western civilization into the ground. We must stop it. Everyone needs basic common sense. If we had a society where someone tried to claim you're actually making money off a tax and we had a healthy society, we'd go, no, you are lying to us. Never be that ridiculous. The political party would be humiliated and that would be the end of it. But because this lie persists to some ding-dongs, overly educated ding-dongs to be specific, the price of everything will get worse and worse and worse. And it's, again, destroying the most vulnerable families. We'll be forced to make some tough choices. And we will then celebrate the destruction of our weakest and most vulnerable people as a great economic success because we are a broken society.